Oh shit, here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Andrew Esquire. And this is Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Good morning from Deutschland over here. I am coming back from a wedding. For those who haven't been following me or didn't watch my locals, if you want the full story, the personal details, my deep thoughts on Germany, go check that out on my locals. That was on a supporters exclusive stream that I did last night. But that said, I will be back in Bangkok in the next 24-ish hours. But because my flight is in like 12 hours and I have to check out of the hotel and I got to meet a friend, this is pretty much the only time slot I have to stream. Normally, I would not be streaming this late. But that said, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate everybody who's here, all 143 of you. Also, thank you to Doug Diaz coming in off rip. Absolutely.
No, listen, I cannot absorb you. Mega based.
Thank you so much, Doug Diaz, for those 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Appreciate you coming in hot. DD's in the chat for Doug Diaz. Get that gift. Now, we also got a question from Murusu Landia. Says, is there any news from the Gina Carano versus Disney? I've given the updates on that as they come, but essentially, Disney has been destroyed on their initial motion to dismiss. So we're going to get into discovery now. And that's going to take a while. It's slow. The Gina Carano lawsuit is not something that's going to, get fully developed in a week. But once we get more of that discovery and we go through this process, it's going to be looking real bad for Disney. Jin Blade says, good morning, Andrew. I missed the past few streams, so here's to seeing you again. Oh, what's up? Jin, well, you probably didn't miss anything because if you're just saying you haven't seen me stream in like 2 or 3 days, I haven't been streaming in 2 or 3 days. So, yeah, this is the first stream I've had in about 3 days or 4 days. So, it's the first one I've had back. And then I'll have a little bit of a break. Probably I'll stream in like maybe 36 hours from now because of my flight and the time zone change and me not sleeping on the plane because it's going to be small. So yeah. So I'll be back again in Bangkok quite soon. But thank you for that. Appreciate the 50 North Korean currency. I'm joking, the Norwegian krona. For Solon with the Argentina, the based Millet currency, says Chad, Chinese developers, no political BS on reviews. Soy journos, I have no mouth and I must read. Yeah, it's true. It's true. They're real big mad about this. And a lot of people are kind of divided on this. And I want to give my take on this as well, because I was the one who posted this. And now everybody, I guess, has used my info on this with Black Myth Wukong. And you can tell that I posted this and like they're using my post, which is kind of fun because I added in Canva, I added that little emphasis there. So this little emphasis here under feminist propaganda, that's a very specific like element in Canva. So I added that. So you see people who are like specifically using mine are just using the one that's been edited like that, the image edited like that. So, which I tend to do if I'm trying to add emphasis or circle, I try to, add something so it makes it clear that that's what I'm looking at or that's the term I'm looking at. So yeah, if you see that, it's me. But a lot of people gave me credit for it, like Smash JT gave me credit in his video, which is awesome. Also, thank you, Thanatip Twin Vito. Appreciate the 35 bot super sticker. I am definitely going to enjoy that when I get back. The banana peel. Appreciate that. I'm very much looking forward to be back in Thailand. Although I had a really good time in Germany. I actually did enjoy it here. So let's get started with Black Myth Wukong. Now, why are we even talking about this to begin with? Why are we even starting with this topic at all? Well, we're starting with this topic at all because it's been made into this political football. And it all started with a young lady, if she identifies as that, called Rebecca with a K Valentine over at IGN, right? So Rebecca Valentine over at IGN, along with Ki Hun Shan over here, said how Black Myth Wukong's developers' history of sexism is complicating its journey to the West. So she went into this whole diatribe on how the developers of Black Myth Wukong are misogynists, how they're bad people, right? They use really poor translations from China and kind of attack them over sexism because there aren't enough females in something about a monkey, which is part of Chinese history, so attacking all this sort of stuff. It's not diverse enough, right? They're not supporting women's rights organizations enough, right? They're showing hostility towards feminist ideals. How dare they, right? And, going at China in general, right? So attacking so they're using Wukong to attack China in general for not being feminist enough. Right. This was in a huge hit piece. And this actually, what people need to understand is this article got a lot of hate in China. So when I was posting about Hoyoverse, everybody in the reply, especially on the Chinese websites, they were talking about Wukong, and they knew about Wukong. And the craziest thing is that as much as they try to be sensitive, they weren't reading the Chinese comments, and they didn't understand, right? These people that are culturally sensitive did not understand how important Wukong is to China. It's a Chinese myth. It's one of the central Chinese myths during to the West, right? It's one of the popular ones, certainly, and so widely circulated. So yeah, they didn't take very kindly to that. Over there in China. So when the game was going to come out finally, they knew that this sort of Western feminist woke journo backlash was going to happen. And so what they did was, when they're giving out keys, the content keys to content creators to, go make content, go out there and stream, they came up with a list of do's and don'ts. So what I want to do is I want to go through this, and I'm going to go through the do's and don'ts. But before I do that, I just want to make very, very clear, right? You can be nuanced in your take on things. And I know this is something that is definitely lost on the insane woke activists. But sometimes, and this is a cautionary tale, sometimes on the right, this can be a problem too, where people get very, very my team versus your team, right? And can not point to where something is good and effective, and they just are focused on bad, right? So there are a certain amount of people that say, oh, China is bad, so no matter what, the game will be bad, right? That's not a really good take. Versus, hey, look at how they responded to woke stuff. This was very effective. We should use this, but without some of the same censorship elements, right? So maybe take the good and then leave out the whole talking about coronavirus is going to get you in trouble, right? Maybe we can allow some discussion about corona. Maybe we don't care, right? Because it's not an issue in the West, right? So, I think that's a way we can learn and grow. And I think from an educational standpoint, certainly when I think about the law, the way the law evolves in a positive manner is by taking what works and then discarding what does not work. So let's talk about what works and what doesn't work about these do's and don'ts, right? Because there are things that are good and things that are bad, right? And this is obviously from my post. Actually, hold on. Let me try to focus on the document a little bit more here rather than the post writ large. There we go. That's better. That's much better. Okay, here we go. So let's be nice and big for you guys that are blind like me. All right, Black Myth Wukong brief. Notice, by using the game key and creating content, you acknowledge that you have been informed of the following content in your statements are not related to the marketing team. So this is important. I mean, obviously, look, they're getting this for free, or they're getting the game key, gratis from from the game science from the developer. So obviously there's a bit of a push and pull there, but there's that relationship. So let's continue. Do enjoy the game, and this is where I really think we've fallen off big time, because that's what we need to really get back to, is enjoying the fucking game, right? Why are we playing games? For the game, right? Can we talk about the game, right? Can we just focus on the game? That's the important thing. I mean, we've got so far away from that. I have to celebrate any game that, even if it restricts everything, even if it censors literally everything but talking about the game, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm okay with if it was an American game and they said, don't talk about the 2024 election, right? Don't talk about Joe Biden or Trump or whatever else. Don't talk about any of that. Just talk about the game. I would be okay with that, because we've gotten away from focusing on the fucking game, right? Like, enjoy the game. Enjoy the game. That really, you should just talk about
Fighting monkey とかさ。
enjoy the monkey, right? Can we just enjoy some monkey? I enjoy monkey. You guys enjoy monkey? Monkey's in the chat. If you guys enjoy the monkey. All right. So I mean that I agree with number one, the big do. Okay, don't insult other influencers or players. Let's start with that one. Okay, insult other influencers or players. I think that's smart, because there has been too much defamation. So saying we are not going to allow you to openly defame other people is a smart thing, right? Because the company can get roped in when it comes to defamation. So I'm okay with them saying, don't go after other people. And in fact, that's a Western thing too. In the East, I mean, obviously the defamation rules are different, right? But people don't typically spend their time just attacking other content creators. Like, hey, this person is a bitch, or this person is horrible. We saw in the VTuber world, with, I think it was Dead by Daylight or another game where there were two female Twitch quote unquote partners that were picking on a poor male content creator because he was a white man, right? Like, that sort of shit behavior has no place in any game. And I think it's fine to use that term. I think it's fine to ban people for defaming others, attacking others, deriding others. Now this one, okay, don't use any offensive language or humor. Now, this is a super subjective clause. This is one that I kind of take a little bit of pushback on, because, like, what is that, right? There's too much wiggle room for offensive language or humor. What's offensive to one person isn't offensive to other people. So I don't know how I feel about that one, but there's some things that you shouldn't say, but I guess, extreme vulgarity maybe. But yeah, that's interesting term. Have a little bit of issue with that. Okay, here's the next one. Do not include politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, or other content that instigates negative discourse. Okay, let's get into it with this one. So I don't have a problem if you outright ban discussing shit that's irrelevant to the game. Because once again, these people are getting something for free. They're receiving a benefit. And if you're saying, yeah, you can't talk about any form of politics, that's fine. The thing is, it needs to be enforced equally for the left and the right and all political sides. So if you're going to have this rule, it needs to be enforced equally. What I would be concerned with, because it's China, and I'm being honest, I would be concerned that you're going to be allowed to be pro-China, but not anti-China. That would be, okay, that's kind of an issue, right? You got to enforce it both ways. If you can't allow the antis, don't allow just keep it pure, no politics, zero politics. So I'm just noting a concern there, right? Once again, I'm very even-handed with this stuff. But at the same time, there's no place for nudity feminist propaganda, fetishization, sexualization, or negative discourse, right? I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. You don't need to be sexualizing or fetishizing your content. And this is a huge problem in the West. Understand, guys, shippers in the West are absolute 100%.
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
People will be shipping the monkey with like a monk, you know? Like they'll be shipping, they ship animals, right? Furries will be maulding. Yeah. They'll be trying to put out monkey lewds, you know? Shippers, especially in the West, they go way too far. Like shipping a monkey is not even that extreme. These guys will put like a shellfish and an elephant together and make them do the mating press, right? These people have no bottom. They're only bottoms, right?
Disgusting.
Real quick, Irham Amin for 50,000 Indonesian rupiah says Wukong's title is the greatest sage equal to heaven. He probably thought nose ring mafias and transformers as demons. He could be right, you know. Yeah, maybe. And look, they knew this was coming. They knew the backlash was coming. Real quick, Cortez says for 20, hey, indie VTuber was mass reported on Twitch and banned. Sent a DM about it on X. Was hoping you could get traction or keep an eye on it. Thanks for your time. Yeah, I'll check out on X. If I don't respond to you, email me. It might be sorted into my other folder. But thank you so much. Appreciate that, Cortez. Thank you. All right. So what's next? So we've got no feminist propaganda. By the way, part of the feminism thing is yes, there are issues in China regarding regarding feminism, and some of the versions of feminism that have come to Asia are the worst versions. Now they're not popular. They're not taking over the country, but the very few people that are quote unquote feminist in places like Korea, China, Japan often are extreme. Extreme. It's like the let's see, the 4 R's. I think it's something like that. Yeah, like the 4B, right? Or the 4 no's in the Korean feminists, right? Let me show you guys this real quick. This is like extreme feminism, right? Once again, this is the version that made it here, right? So yeah, the 4 no's is a radical group in South Korea, but also percolated other places too. 4 no's are no sex with men, no giving birth, no dating men, no marriage with men. Bisexu, bichulsan, biyone, bihon. Right? It's pretty fucking extreme feminism over here. So that's the version that's like one of the versions that made it over. So I get like when you're going up against pretty extreme shit, you know, your response can be pretty harsh. Yeah. That is no fun at all. No fun at all. Yes. It's ban on fun. Fun is banned. All right. Let's continue here with these criteria. Okay. So you've got that. Now, next one. Do not use trigger words such as COVID-19, isolation, or quarantine. Well, that's essentially because, once again, they're really straight up worried about that. And also, that's something they get a lot of flack for, Chinese companies, etc. And so you can see people trolling on that. That's a particular sensitivity to China. I don't think anybody in the West is trolling on that. In fact, we've already kind of moved on. There's so many political issues in the West, we've moved on. But in China, that's still a sensitive political issue. And then last but not least, do not discuss anything related to China's game industry policies, opinions, news. So talking about what their political positions are, talking about what their opinions are, whether they're misogynist, etc., right? All of that, don't talk about that as well. Now, of these, which ones do I agree with? I agree with no defamation. I actually do agree with no politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, or negative discourse. I agree with that, right? The other ones I can get rid of personally. No offensive humor, no saying quarantine, no talking about China. You can nuke those and I'd be happy with it. Now, as a whole, do I have a problem with this? No, because the focus is on the game. And if you have a game and your rule for people streaming your game is talk about the fucking game, I'm still okay with it. So as a whole, comprehensively, I am okay with this. But that said, I can still make fun of China. And that said, I'm still no China simp. I'm going to come out and say Tibet, Taiwan, Tiananmen, right? The 3 T's, right? I'm going to talk about that. So give and a take. I'm just going to be straight up and honest. So, and yeah, I'll talk about COVID-19 and I'll talk about the fact that China handled it poorly, right? But they're handling this well. They're handling a response to them very well, right? All right. So let's continue here. We got that one down. Wait, what are people posting? Max, what the fuck are you posting? Maximura, what are you doing? Oh, okay. This is over on my locals. So shout out to Max Mura, who posted this very funny poster over the strong zeros in Japan, which is stress society, pension issue, find work, old age, marriage, low wages, anxiety from a long, long time ago, lifetime employment, strong zero, everything goes away. The cure for all of it, strong zero. Strong zero. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Max. Thank you for being very based over there in Tokyo. All right. So we've got down Wukong. Let's go to Hoyoverse. So they are absolutely flying the white flag in Hoyoverse. So there was this Western boycott leader. This person was like one of the people leading the boycott, one of the people out there in front of the Hoyoverse boycott, and they actually deleted this post. Now, I retweeted them before they deleted it, right? So it was this retweet that I made, and I've got their entire thread, which is essentially a cope. I want to read through it because it's great. And this is the one I picked out here was they're saying that they're still going to play the game, and that's how they're going to boycott it, right? They're saying, right now, I do all this by making it clear what my views are, renaming myself to Boycott HYV in-game and stating my views in my bio. Soon I'll do this with Hoyo Lab, and I'll know I'll get disrespected there. That's my goal, right? So let's read this this crazy Westerner and his thread here on how he is going to boycott Hoyoverse by reinstalling Hoyoverse. This is absolutely great. But what's even more great is Mazrova Palma with 10. Thank you so much.
Hello, Beso Department.
Thank you, Mazrova Palma. Thank you. I think you're over here in Europe, so a guten Morgen to you over here from Germany. But I think you're over there in Czech, right? So maybe Dobre Rano. You got some Dobre in there, right? It's all Dobra over as far as I'm concerned. For my folks over there on that side of the world, I hung out with a lot of Poles this weekend, which was really cool. I fucking love Poles. Anyways, let's continue here. Let's read this craziness. So we've got this. Okay, so why I installed Genshin Impact. Hashtag boycott HYV. Hashtag representation matters. Hashtag Natlan. So he's literally promoting the game in his tweeting. Hashtag Genshin Natlan. Hashtag Genshin Impact. Hashtag Natlan Impact. So you're promoting these. So great. You're doing a better job of promoting it than anything else. Okay. Now I am still part of the boycott, but I think it's important that we don't give up and quit Genshin as a whole. In doing so, we essentially give the Hoyo defenders a place to congregate, a place to call home. This person does not understand the meaning of the word boycott, right? You can't participate in something and boycott it. It's not how this works, right? It's not how this works. Here we go. So with my first day of logging in, I was called a performative activist, and I called attempts at writing the N-word at me by 3 different people. Maybe they were just trying to call you a ninja. Who knows? I mean, it's an Asian game, you know. Now I should note that, yes, I was a frequent spender on Genshin and a Honkai Star Rail. I would steal my mother's credit card at night and spend $20 to $40 every few weeks or so. Money spent, which would lead us to becoming almost homeless in summer of 2023. Guys, this person made themselves a whale in the game by stealing their mother's credit card until they went homeless. Are you fucking kidding me? That's insane. Look at it. Stealing my mother's credit card at night. Ladies and gentlemen, the boycotters are not sending their best. Do people hear a fucking 13-year-old edgelord, a literal kid? Yes, this is a literal kid. Mazarov Palma said, Good morning, dobre rano. I understand both. As I work for a German employer, both is relevant. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, both good morning and dobre rano to you. Thank you for the 10 memberships. This is the most sane person ever. It only gets better, guys. It only gets better. I believe that if you were a free-to-play player before, you can quit. But if you were somebody who paid semi-frequently, keep playing and advocating for boycotting the game. It's important not to leave the actual game barren of its criticizers. How does that even make sense? You're literally saying it's okay to play because you spent money, because you're going to be sad that you spent money on the game. Are you fucking kidding me? He's literally explaining addiction. It's like, you've done crack before. If you've already done crack, it's okay to do crack, right? If you haven't done crack, then you have to quit. But if you have done crack, you have to smoke that crack, right? Because you've already smoked it. And you don't want to let the non-crack smokers dominate the crack smoking space. It's a sunk cost fallacy. And these are children. Once again, shouldn't we be educating children on things like what a sunk cost fallacy is? We should be educating people on psychology and how they're falling into these like basic psychological traps. These are basic psychological mechanisms to get you to keep doing stuff. We should be educating people on that, but we're not, right? Instead, the schools are teaching them about activism, which is why this person feels the need to talk about activism and not about the reality of being addicted to a fucking game. He continues here, because that's what we're doing. Criticizing. We aren't bashing Hoyo. We aren't. Wait, what? I thought you are. You're saying, boy, how do you say you're going to boycott Hoyoverse and you're not bashing them? What? We're not doxing. We're not threatening to sue. We're mocking and criticizing, essentially. We're not sending death threats to people who don't share our views. Well, death threats are always bad. So death threats, I don't think anybody should ever send those ever. But that said, if all you're doing is mocking and criticizing and you're not suing or not doing anything financially, that means you're entirely impotent. You are the micropene of boycotts. And not even that, this boycott is literally playing itself. This boycott is actually supporting Genshin Impact more than anything else. So let's continue here. But those who dislike the boycott have been sending death threats. Okay, let me just say, this is usually bullshit. This is usually bullshit. These people always try to say, oh, we're getting death threats. Show me the death threats. Who are they coming from? Did you send them did you send the boycott yourself? Or sorry, did you send the death threat yourself? Because some people, in order to generate PR, they'll just false flag themselves. They'll create a fake email and send themselves a fake death threat, right? And they'll go, oh my God, I'm getting death threats, right? Let me check that email over there, Need some receipts. Need some verification on who the person is who sent that. That said, have been saying slurs, making blackface. Who's doing blackface? Justin Trudeau? Is Trudeau coming for you? Making us out to be the racists despite us being proper representation of game we love. You are the racists. You are the racists. This viewpoint is incredibly racist and patronistic. And it's patronistic to the people who actually live there. Because I guarantee you this person is probably a white progressive, right? Who's holding this view. I'm very, very confident on that one. It's very interesting the way they do things. But we do love games. We just want to see our cultures, real people, real deities being disrespected by a company who claims it's fiction when they're confronted. I know this is going to be really offensive, but I mean, like, deities don't walk around in real life, right? Deities don't have feelings, even if they are real, quote unquote, even if you believe they're real, which is up to you. You can believe whatever you want to believe, but they're not going to be over here like crying in a corner. You know, if I speak poorly of Yahweh, he doesn't like send me a sternly worded letter, right? Casual for 5 says, enjoy the 5 from what is definitely my own CC, not my mother's. Thanks for the credit card. Appreciate that. Absolutely based. Unlike this kid who is suffering from
Emotional damage.
This kid is he's so hurt that the Hoyoverse boycott did not work. So basically, I reinstalled Genshin. I will do my utmost not to post any praise to the game by keeping the game under the glasses of criticism. New players and therefore spenders will be less likely to play. Right now, I do this by making clear what my views are, renaming myself to Boycott HYV in the game and stating my views in my bio. Soon I'll do this with Hoyo Lab, as I know I'll get disrespected there, and that's my goal. To reveal how Hoyoverse has become a breeding ground and safe haven for racists, lolicons, and more. Okay, what community does that sound like? That sounds like people talking about the VTubing community, right? Because that's what they'll say about VTubers. They'll say VTubers and VTubing is a breeding ground for racists, lolicons, and horrible, horrible people, right? They say that about anime. They say anime is a breeding ground for racists and lolicons, et cetera, right? This is the same tired bullshit propaganda piece that people say about things when they don't like it and they're exposed as tourists. Generally, people like this, once they're exposed as tourists, they just shame the entire thing. And that's what, people just sour grapes. It's called sour grapes, right? They sour grapes everything because they're exposed as a tourist and they're not actually engaged with this thing, right? But it ends up promoting the thing even more. Now I want to play Genshin Impact and Hoyoverse games even more, right? Anyways, saying he's going to reveal how fucked up it is, how fucked up Hoyoverse has let its fan base become because of its own actions and ideals. Don't sell me any harder. Do not sell me any harder. A fucked up fan base? That sounds kind of based. Dawe is a coward. Ooh, there we go. He and his whole team of executives forcing his artists to change their own designs for fear they won't rake in cash in China. He's a fuckwad. He and all the people who defended him. Él es un demonio en mis ojos. Thank you. And I'm sorry. And I love how people will use like one line of Spanish, and it's probably a white guy, from like Poughkeepsie, New York, and he thinks like, oh my God, I'm suddenly so diverse because I threw some Spanish in there. Anyways, thank you. And I'm sorry if some of you don't support my decision to do this. I'll be willing to take it back and take down the whole thread if it's recommended by most people on the side of boycott. Well, he's deleted this. He's deleted this thread. So, I had to go back and find a good screen cap of this to share with you guys and share with you the delusion and the absolute L's of the Hoyoverse boycott. This stuff is actually beautiful for me. So just absolute love to see it. Jim Blade says, I'm confused. What did this person accomplish? Nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. I think they looked around at all the other Hoyoverse boycotters and they said,
I'm in favor of execution. Maybe our entire team needs to be executed after tonight.
Because they did absolutely nothing. Hoyoverse and the Hoyoverse Boycott literally did nothing but promote it in the algorithm. It's now been trending on Twitter, on X several times, right? It's been brought up in a positive light, right? In various social medias, even in Chinese social media. So it's absolutely amazing to see how this thing backfired. And I love to see it. And honestly, I love to celebrate the W's because we spend too much time blackpilling ourselves and getting mad at like everything that's happening. But this is actually a pretty big W. And it shows there is a roadmap to push back against this shit. There is a way forward, right? And we need Western companies to have the same set of balls to just say, no, we're not doing that, right? And we see Asian companies doing it. Chinese companies, Korean companies, to a lesser extent, Japanese companies, because a lot of the bigger Japanese companies have Western influence. That's a separate topic. But this is a model and it does work. And I want to see this happen more. I want to see more W's against us. Hogwarts at work too, by the way. Yeah, Hogwarts ended up promoting Hogwarts more than hurting Hogwarts legacy. That is true. That is one good Western example is Hogwarts. Mitchie Loudy sent you a video through email, which conclusive proof that Hoyo is being representative and this boycott is more stupid than it should be. Okay, let me see. I'll see if I can pull this up. Typically, I don't do this, but let's see. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up on YouTube. This is like a... Oh, they got it. Okay. I don't know if I can play too much of this because I'll probably get a strike for it. But apparently there's this Natlan live performance here. So I'm going to mute this and play it. But essentially, we'll just go with the opener, right? We'll go with the opener here. So they're like using like African stuff there, I guess. And, let me play it a little. So yeah, they've got this. This is official from Hoyoverse, right? They're adding in there some live symphony from Natlan and got that representation in there, right? People say you'll be fine. Hoyoverse doesn't strike. I'm being conservative, particularly because we're seeing a lot of changes on that, and we're going to talk about that next with the Twitch DJ TOS. I want to be more conservative, and also I think long term, because while they may not do it now, you can get struck in the future, right? So I don't want to. I'm trying to stay on the right side of this. It's annoying to have to every time go in and apply to get my channel demonetized, right? It's just weird. So Gucci Supreme, thank you as a new member. Appreciate you. Welcome to the membership. Appreciate you there. Solon says these kids are a new batch of J.K. Rowling antis. Huffing to copium, raging in social media, and then turning to buy whatever stuff they claim to hate. And they always do. They always do. The people that are Harry Potter stans and all that, they're not quitting Harry Potter. They still are loving Harry Potter. They'll complain about it. They'll grope. They'll bitch online, but they're keyboard warriors. And they're so addicted that they can't even quit. This just shows how weak spine they are and why in the West we should ignore them. We should ignore them because they don't even have the courage of their convictions. At least the people that boycotted Bud Light actually boycotted Bud Light. They actually stopped buying Bud Light. These people are like imagine if there was the Bud Light boycott, but instead of boycotting it, they bought more Bud Light. That would have been the equivalent on the other hand, or Gillette, or any of the other boycotts that you could say are on the other side of the political spectrum. They just don't work. Think about the Chick-fil-A boycotts. Every time they try to boycott Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A makes more money. Right? Boycotting Bud Light is easy. Don't drink the piss water. Yep. Yuki Tono says the only Genshin Impact I support is SAG-AFTRA. Yes, well, the actors that are doing some of the protests and whatnot are getting there's one voice actor that was let go. Now they weren't one of the SAG-AFTRA people that was off, but it'll be interesting to see how many of these voice actors that supported the Hoyoverse boycott get banned. All right, so let's talk about the Twitch TOS, and then we're going to end with the Latina, but first with the sexy dark brown Latina. So we're going to get into this. Let's get into the Twitch TOS. So there's this Twitch DJ program, and I was made aware of this through the Azahara channel. So shout out to Azahara Clips, appreciate that. But this is the new terms of service for their Twitch DJ program. And why I want to bring this up is you can see that what we're having here is a big change in TOS as it relates to music. And these TOS are kind of easy to fuck you, right? They're kind of easy to fuck you if you play music without authorization. So let's talk about what this does. So these TOS say if you are not enrolled in the Twitch DJ program, so if you're not part of a music rights holder that's participating, right? People can submit reports on you when you're streaming music without authorization. If they report you, now they're going to take the following action. So if you have a radio station channel, which on YouTube is very popular, other places very popular, where you're just playing music all day. If they report you even once, you are permanently banned. So Twitch is going to permanently ban radio station type channels. Essentially, this is going to nuke that sort of content. So that's going to be a huge thing there. Next, if you broadcast live DJ streams that include recording music, if you're reported 4 times, your channel is permanently suspended. If you broadcast pre-released or unreleased recorded music, you rebroadcast a concert or a live performance. So think about Niji Sanji live, right? Where there's recorded music, broadcast streams that include a playback of an entire album. If you do that even once, your live stream is ended, your channel is suspended for 48 hours, and you're reported. And that happens 3 times until your channel is permanently suspended. And last, if you broadcast streams in which recorded music is the focus or integral to the stream, such as a fitness class, you have broadcasting advertisements out of music or promotions or sponsored content with music, or you have recorded music in karaoke or lip sync performances. After 3 issues, you're suspended. So this is going to lead to a lot of suspensions on Twitch. I imagine that people should be very concerned with this on Twitch and be very, very careful. It's here in the chat saying, be careful streaming music in the background. People FAFO doing this for too long. There are servers that have been scraping and data logging streamers for a while. Be warned. I totally agree with that, CCPC Tech. Be warned about that. Assassin's Eclipse says, I stream anime music quiz. It scares me. It should. Be very careful about that because now you can get warnings for it and completely fucked. Despite the fact that you may not do anything wrong under U.S. law. Because mind you, this is not U.S. law. All of this use, a lot of this use should be fair use. It's transformative. But Twitch is not employing U.S. law. They're employing their terms of service, which are way stricter than what the law is in the U.S. or Europe or anywhere else. They're not doing the law. They're doing beyond the law. So this is not something that's legally required. They're making it required because they're trying to monetize here, right? They're trying to monetize and they're trying to enable the copyright cucks, right? All of those. And we're not talking about Black Myth Wukong, right? We're not talking about Black Myth Wukong when I talk about those type of monkeys. All right. So for our final topic here, let's get into dark brown Latinas. Now, as you guys may know, I'm from Miami, Florida, right? So I am no stranger to spicy Latinas. And so when I saw this topic, I was like, this is perfect for me. This is perfect for me. And I still love my Latina brothers and sisters, right? Latina sisters, right? Latino brothers, right? I still love everybody. I love my Latino brothers. Cool to hang out with. Latinas all day, every day, baby. AOC is more horse than Latina, but that's neither here nor there, Gus. But anyways, there's a new manga that is coming out. It's a Latina-like novel, right? It is called, let me pull it up here. It is called the dark brown Latina girl is aiming for my body, right? This is a kind of spiritual successor, if you guys are aware of the Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro anime, right? If you're aware with that. Yeah, this is what's coming up here. Obviously, a lot of assets on display here. Now, yeah.
Hello, best department.
Or hold on. I got a better one. Pippa's got.
Oh yeah, that's what I like to see. Oh yeah.
quite the fan service, giving the people what they want. So this is definitely Nagatoro kind of 2.0. Now that Nagatoro's wind down, right? So you've got this coming out recently. Now, why were people mad about this? Well, let's give a little bit of the background, and you'll kind of understand this here. So I've got this pulled up in a separate tab, a separate window, actually. Here you go. So Brazilian waifu in light novel surprises fans on social media. So people were a little bit surprised by this. So the author of the romantic comedy light novel Kashoku Musume no Latina-san ni ore no karada ga narawamata iru. The dark brown Latina-san is aiming for my body. Surprised his followers by revealing details against the protagonist Latina on Twitter. So they named the protagonist Latina, which is what pissed people off. According to the author, Latina comes from the Amazon region, and her second language is Portuguese, which confirms she originates from Brazil. So she's an indigenous person, so obviously she's brown, but she speaks Portuguese, right, as well. This revelation generated a wave of reaction on social media as they speculated she could come from a Hispanic country such as Peru or Colombia. Well, once again, it's a Latin country in general, Latin language, right? Portuguese, and if you've been to Brazil, a lot of similarities in South America, right? Of course, differences as well. So they got the cover. And this is the author who says, as an author, as far as the heroine is concerned, she is from a background of being an indigenous Amazonian, and her second language is Portuguese. I chose the name Latina from a list of representative names for South American women suggested by an AI. I didn't expect it to be a word that represented Latina women in general, right? So once again, this is a language issue. So people got mad that there was that they named the character Latina, right? But the translation doesn't work there, guys. The translation doesn't work from like Japanese straight over into English, right? And obviously, when there is an English translation, they may end up changing the name or using a different name. But anyways, Jacob Braun says, we have a cure for racism. People are trying to cancel it. You couldn't agree more, Jacob. Couldn't agree more. And then also, adherent of Lady Columbia said the bleaching fetish about to explode here, people. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, let's continue. Then continuing saying she's originally from South America. However, she has a history of being an Amazonian indigenous woman. I believe that cultural interaction with the protagonist will be the focus. So it might be interesting to include a friend from Brazil where the heroine lived for a while. So the story is about a high school student with a seemingly ordinary life. Everything changes when he meets Latina, a lively exchange student with tan skin who radiates energy. From their first meeting, Matoko rescues her from an attacker, and Latina makes a bold decision. She proposes marriage to Makoto and insists they must have a child together. This unexpected development marks the beginning of a series of comical and exciting situations as Makoto tries to adapt to this new reality and overcome a major failure in his high school life. Right? This draws on Brazilian origins, right? Including the inclusion of Brazil in Japanese content. Others expressed disappointment and lack of originality. Comments such as, it seems the Japanese think that in America, there's only Brazil in the United States. It's always Brazil were frequent. Another fan said, where they show Latin American anime or manga, they put in a jungle or satanic cults. Some, on the other hand, defended the author's decision about this manga, this light novel, arguing that making the protagonist a Brazilian avoids greater controversy, predictable and better. If it were any other country in Latin America, the controversy would be greater. That may or may not be true. That may or may not be true. That said, what people need to realize is Japan and Brazil have a very, very close relationship. I was in Nagoya and Hamamatsu in that area of Japan just like 2 weeks ago. And what I realized is there's a lot of Brazilian workers there. Actually, when I was going through Hamamatsu, there was like a bunch of signs in Portuguese. There was a Brazilian festival when I was there. I actually may even have a picture of it on my phone. But there is a big relationship there with people in Japan, so Brazilians in Japan. And then in Brazil, there's a lot of Japanese in Brazil, right? And there's a lot of other people in Brazil as well. There's a Japanese diaspora there in Brazil. There's also Germans, Italians, etc. So it's really something where there is a history there. So the Japanese have something to play on. In fact, this is probably more quote unquote diverse than one would imagine. Right? Agora said same people that are trying to push Latinx bullshit. Exactly. Right? This is the same type of person that's boycotting Genshin Impact. A person who has a problem with this, right? I have two things to say about them, right? If you've got a problem with this, right? I've got two things to say about you. First of all,
Fighting monkey とかさ。
second of all, I got news for you. I got news for you. You probably don't like fun things. Put it that way. My man Chibi Reviews. A shout out to Chibi Reviews. And a Spirit too. Shout out to you too. Well, thanks for coming on for my anime stream. Got to do another one very soon. If you guys like spicy Latinas, actually, let me just do a poll here. Quick poll. Do you enjoy spicy Latinas? Yes or no? Yes or no in the chat? Let's see what the chat is. Is the chat feeling based today? You guys, are you
Degenerates. You guys degenerates.
I know how you guys are. I'll have to repost the content here because you guys are enjoying it. Let's see here. Who's messaging me? All right. Yeah. As Latino, I do enjoy spicy Latinas. They're great. They're actually great. So that's what I have for today. So I am planning on covering in the future some VTuber topics I got coming up. When I get back in town, I can also do the contract and go through and do that. And we're going to have some updates legally. For those that have been following the Ricada stuff, I think his hearing is coming up. So that'll be coming up very, very soon. And there'll be other topics that you guys have sent to me and pushed over to me that I will get covered. Obviously, I'm traveling back to the U.S. Oh, sorry, not to the U.S., to Bangkok, right? Not the U.S. Home to Bangkok. So I'll be moving over the next couple of days. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. Thanks for hanging out here late night. I know it's in atypical time, so I do want to appreciate that. Also, special shout out to my mod, Danielle, and also the professional gentlemen who I know are up late, kind of lurking here and doing their job at a real time when they really had to stay up real late. So I do appreciate that from all you guys. Thank you guys for all stopping by. And I do hope you have a great time. Thank you. And I will see you guys on the next one.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Low,